Feels good to be back. Woo! Let's go! It's that time again for the best damn opening in Facebook and YouTube Live history. You know it's true because it came out of my face. What? You heard me? Asaltante Oso, that bear you all know. Woo! Often imitated, never duplicated. Nah, that fool with no hair that shouts like Ric Flair. Woo! What? Woo! Woo! The R8RBEAR! R8RBEAR! Everyone has a gift from God. You just heard mine. Lungs bionic and born in Oakland, California. Now residing in Arizona. Your host, the R8RBEAR. What's up, folks? Welcome to the show. Appreciate you all tuning in to, this mess. I can't. That Denver Bronco game almost broke me. It almost broke me. No, I don't mean I would have stopped being a Raider fan. I mean, it just almost broke me. Tradish! R8RBEAR Live. First comment. MVP tonight. YouTube goes to the heavyweight 5-emoji making champion of the world, Mark Vargas. Look at you, champ. I know. I had to go on a little bit of a hiatus there for a minute, okay? And I just want to thank you and everyone else that's watching the show that wished me happy birthday. Mwah. I love you all. I love you, nation. You know it's true because it came out of my face, and it's just what it's what I say. Second place, my silver medal goes to one of my favorite people, Ramiro. Woo! Cash flow. Castro. I've got your little brother's number now. Thinking about calling him. No, I don't really have his number. I don't want you to start thinking I'm a stalker. You don't have to call him and warn him. Maybe. Third place, my bronze medal goes to, new name, Fish in Vegas! What's up, fish? Welcome to the show. Always there for Raider Bear for the very first time. And by the way, fish, don't let your screen fool you. This really is my mustache. It's not a handlebar mustache. Often people say that. The handlebar ones go down. This one is flexing its muscles. This is a buff mustache. It's, giving you one of these. No, we're not going to talk about Raider football. What is there to talk about? We're just going to do the show on my mustache and stuff like that. Honorable mention to Hope, S.A. Big Dog. What's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Facebook. First place, gold medalist, numero uno, el jefe tonight, the champ. No, it wasn't you, John Leon. No, you were way down here in the basement, okay? I know you're going to ask later. Just don't. Chris Strong, who wins because he only wrote bear. Second place, my silver medal goes to the G-Man himself, Jim Garrison. What's up, G? Welcome to the show. Always there for Raider Bear. Appreciate you, brother. And welcome. Third place, my bronze medal goes to one of my favorite Raiderette females on the planet, I should say. Permission to come on deck. Tony Carpenter Evans, looking cuter than ever. I love that profile picture. What's up, girl? Welcome to the show. Honorable mention to my good friend, Raging Raider Rhino. And by the way, we often get people saying my good friend, and oftentimes they're just talking. It's hyperbole. I went out with this man and his wife, had a great time. We had dinner, had a great time right by the ocean. Oh, yeah, it was romantic and stuff. So him and his fam are my people now. They have been for a while. Jesse Parker. Jesse Parker. Listen, Jesse, the shirt game, on point. Loved it. Loved it and loved it. I had to give you 3 because you sent me 3, and I appreciate all 3. Much love to you, brother. Welcome to the show. Always there for Raider Bear. And to any and all veterans that may be watching the show, respect and thank you for your service. To anyone that's watching, do not say Happy Veterans Day. Not because it's not a nice thing to do, but you will trigger a veteran. Don't. Come on, veterans, admit it. You know that's true. You hate it when we civilians screw that up, okay? And so I got chewed out myself. I had my experience. I had to learn because I was one of those inexperienced people who said Happy Veterans Day. So do not say that. And there's a thing with coins, but you have to ask the veteran how that works. I'm not even going to explain that. I'd probably mess it up. Okay, John the Lion has my first actual football question that I have to answer, unfortunately. Oh, my God. Is Cam Miller better than Pickett or Connell better? Does Cam have more upside? And why isn't he the practice squad if he has more upside? Okay, John, it's very simple. I know I'm not, like saying you don't understand or you're dumb or anything like that. I just mean it's simple in that I don't have much I can tell you other than it's a very simple answer. And that is college quarterbacks coming in to the NFL oftentimes do not know how to read and recognize when defenses flex and change. And you know what I'm talking about. They present you one thing and then turn into something else when they snap the ball. It's very hard. It's very hard on young quarterbacks to read, react, understand that, and do it so fast that they're also ignoring the offensive line that may be giving someone a free run at him. You know what I mean? It's very difficult for young quarterbacks. Now, on top of that, it's kind of like having a 9-year-old boy or a girl and pushing him into a pool and saying, learn how to swim that way. Now, this is the NFL is the equivalent of doing that while sharks are swimming around the boat, and you push them in and say, figure out how to swim. You know what I mean? Because defensive linemen, linebackers, That's the Sharks. And, it's a figure of, that I'm trying to, I'm trying to make your mind see it, because that really is what it is. He is under fire while trying to learn. And I find that unfortunate, because you're finally just now starting to see some of these schools starting to prepare their quarterbacks better to understand those things. But the amount of schools that are doing it, I could count on one hand, the Gators, the Florida Gators, Georgia. Well, I mean, that's off the top of my head. I'd have to really sit down and look at others, but Alabama, to a certain extent. And they got Tua Tagovailoa coming out of the college system that they were running. They prepared him. He knew how to see things. That's why he came right into the NFL and the Miami Dolphins and played fairly well. The reason why he didn't play really well is because he's not actually an exceptional quarterback in any way. He's not physically exceptional. He's not exceptionally fast. He's not exceptionally strong. He has a good mind. So he can see and he can react and he can throw. And so for that, he's good. But if you could put Dak Prescott's body into Tua Tagovailoa, he'd be all pro. But you can't do that. So to answer your question, John, we can't put Cam in because Cam's not ready. And if you get him blasted when he's young, he'll lose his confidence. And then when you bring him back to classroom at practice and say, look for this when they do this, look for that when they do that, he'll feel like he can't get it because he felt like he understood it in the classroom last time. Then when they went out on the field to apply it, he got smashed. So now you're just supposed to go into the classroom and trust it again. It's very difficult. You have to be very difficult at this level and this era with these young quarterbacks. That's why I'm impressed with what Daniel Carlson's doing with the Colts. You know what I mean? I always thought he looked good with the Giants. I just thought the Giants were in his way, that their system didn't work. They had bad personnel. They had bad, staffing. Now you see him leave. He immediately goes to a Colts team that has better staffing, better coaching. And what happened? The guy's playing fantastic, and he's definitely going to take the Colts to the playoffs. I think that we have to look for that. We have to look for a sturdy quarterback that can run a little bit, that at the end of the day, when we need him to, he can run a handful of yards. We're not trying to design plays for that. We're not trying to look for the next Michael Vick. We just want someone, though, that can keep the defensive line honest, extend a play from time to time when your offensive line isn't at its best. Yeah, no, Tana, nope, no, Tana, stop that. He said, oops, I didn't know. I didn't either, Tana. I made the same mistake. He is legit. That's my guy, Chris. Happy for veteran is okay, but not happy Memorial Day. It's like saying happy funeral day. Okay, my bad. See, I'm still learning. I don't see that O'Connell was a late draft pick and he started. John, but I think that was more out of desperation. I mean, don't you remember the situation? I mean, you had Garoppolo. We were in a desperate situation. But more importantly, I thought he was ready. Because, some other rookies obviously started. You know what I mean? Some other rookies are still starting and playing and so on, like the kid with the Texans. But I just felt like Aiden O'Connell was ready, but the offensive line and the offense were not. Then the turmoil with the head coach and all that stuff. I've never seen a business or a company that works well when it's in transition with its staff, especially if that staff is management staff, i.e., coaches, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, general manager, team president, et cetera, special teams, blah, blah. When you start to have turmoil at those positions for extended years, you're going to have a hard time fielding a good team because it's hard to get everyone on the same message. I think that after this season, if Pete Carroll is able to play out his second year in his contract, it'll probably only be because Tom Brady feels some responsibility for this, maybe just some, because I think Tom, in effect, picked everybody other than what we had already, like Patrick Graham. But other than that, I think he picked everyone and only picked Pete Carroll because he was essentially the best of what was left. You know what I mean? So he didn't feel strong about that. It wasn't a pick at head coach that he would have made by choice. It was a pick at head coach that he had no choice other than to make. If dumbing down the system for other quarterbacks is okay, why not do it for a rookie? Well, it's not that you can't do it. I would do it, but I just think that they're concerned about Cam's confidence. That's it. I don't know if you remember when they did have him on that one touchdown throw in the preseason. He looked small, man. I mean, I'm just saying he looked a little. You know, and I don't mean little like I'm insulting him. I just mean like of stature. He looked like he needed to eat a sandwich and then gain 20 pounds. He looked slim to me. So I don't know if maybe they're concerned that he needs to develop his man body first. I don't know. But I think that could be part of it. And AOC, the whole thing with AOC's hand right now is why Kenny Pickett came in instead of AOC. It's not because Kenny Pickett's better. It's because AOC's hand still isn't, 1,000%. Although he did make full practice all 3 days leading up to the Bronco game. So I was surprised we didn't see him in the Bronco game with Gino getting banged around. But, it's hard to say. I'm surprised by anything that happens this year. Let's go. Let's get kid out of Indiana. Fernando Mendoza just sounds like a Raider. You know what, Rhino? I would feel that. I really would. I'm definitely down with Fernando. If Chip Kelly doesn't get fired after next loss, Tank might be out there, and special teams was fired as a smoking mirror. Okay, I'm going to read that again. If Chip Kelly doesn't get fired after next loss, Tank might be out there and special teams was fired as a smoking mirror. Okay, now, if Chip Kelly isn't fired next week, he'll be fired at the end of the season. I think that's one of those things that wasn't a Pete Carroll decision. I don't think that was a Pete Carroll decision. I don't think that's a Pete Carroll fit. And I think that they'll recognize that Pete Carroll probably saying to them, I don't want this guy in the beginning, and then them forcing him on him was probably a bad idea, and they will go ahead and rectify that. By the results, it's probably a bad idea. Because, Raging Raider Rhino, I do agree Chip Kelly is trash. I did see that we signed a new kicker. He's a veteran. I heard he's not really much of a threat to our guy. I just hear that he's more of an emergency guy in case Daniel Carlson continues to struggle. He's not really there to take his job. Also, remember, if you enjoy the show, please like and subscribe on YouTube. If you would, it helps me with the algorithm and it gets me out there to more Raider fans. And those of you interested in contributions to the show, look for me on Facebook where you can subscribe to Raider Bear Live. And I'm also available on Patreon. Again, that's Patreon, Raider Bear Family page, Raider Bear. Yes, Pickett does have the hands of a 10-year-old. I mean, when's the last time you saw a quarterback so that had so little confidence in his hands that he wears 2 gloves while he plays? I can't think of the last time I saw a quarterback play with 2 gloves on unless it was snowing outside. Bear! Thank you, Vicky Ginn. Vicky Ginn! Appreciate the love on the stars. Remember, stars contributed to the show go directly to charities like the Kind Fund and others that we've worked with in the past. They need to draft a franchise quarterback and find a dependable backup. Stop pick bad draft picks. Christopher Anderson, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's easy to say stop making bad picks, but I don't know. Was Genty a bad pick? I think he's pretty good. It's not all bad picks. I think Thornton was a good pick. I just think he needs to learn more. Same thing with Jack Besh. I just think he needs to learn more. Jackson Powers Johnson, I'm still on the fence on that one. It's not that he's not good. He's really good. He is very good. I just don't know where he's supposed to play. because he was developed as a center, but a center that struggles at reading defenses. So how do you make him the starter? You got to get him a lot better than that. And from what I understood, every time they tried to teach him, he struggled at it. Greg Joseph has been on several rosters since being drafted in 2018, including the Vikings. Yep. Kenny Smallhands Pickett. Hi, Corinna. Appreciate the love on my birthday, and I'm glad you got your stuff. Finally, I apologize again. You don't have to apologize for being late. I don't care. Oh, that's nice. Well, I'm glad you made it, Corinna. Glad you made it home safe. All right. So now with the fact that we're starting to get some players back, we're going to get a little bit of rest, having not had to play this Sunday, and then we're going to work all the way back around and then not play Sunday again, and then have Monday Night Football against Dallas. Now, I like our odds here. I've never liked the Dallas Cowboys, and more importantly, the Dallas Cowboys are in as much turmoil pretty much as we are, but with even greater chaos at the top with their owner. Red Sox had the Bambino curse, and I think the Raiders now have the Mac curse. Well, we were losing before, during Mac. So, I don't know about that. But I'm not beyond believing there's a curse. Just I don't know if it has to do with Mac. Thank you. I appreciate that, Nicholas Maida. Much love. Stephen Shaw, always there for Raider Bear. Much love to you, brother. And I'm using my cup I got from Mr. and Mrs. Shaw. Thank you very much. I love it, brother. Whoop. Stephen Shaw and Mrs. Shaw. Mwah. Okay, let's see. Here we go. Richard Nunez. Mendoza's got it, and I like Beck from Kane. What's your thoughts? I like Mendoza because he has upside. You know what I mean? I just feel like his ceiling is higher, and you don't see too many guys come out of college that you feel like could come to the pros and become more. Think of it like what we saw out of Cam Newton. When Cam Newton first came in, no one sat there and went, oh, gee, I wonder if he'll be a good rookie. No, we were like, wow, I wonder what he's going to do here. You know what I mean? I kind of feel that way about Mendoza, too. I think he's going to get here. I think he's going to get it, and I think he's going to take off. And, yeah, I like Beck. I like Beck, too. Oh, you're saying Beck from the Canes. I was thinking you were talking about Jack Beck, our receiver. I'd have to look at more. I've seen stuff on Mendoza. I haven't seen as much on Beck. Happy birthday to your daughter. Only Ty Simpson or nobody out of college. Teddy Two Gloves Bridgewater was the first and made it cool for any other quarterback to wear gloves. Yeah, no, I mean, I get that, but I don't know if Teddy really wore it because his hands were too small, though. Miami Hurricanes, yes. And thank you for the happy birthday. Bear Little Bird told me that you'll be getting a package. Oh, okay. Well, thank you. You're too kind. Stephen Shaw says, and God bless to all our veterans out there. All right, so just real quick. Let me look at this real quick. So I was really bothered by the Broncos' loss, like any one of these other losses, because you could see the same thing happening. It was us facing a team that had as much turmoil as we did, but once again, we end up on the losing end. I don't like the signs of this, because when you play bad against bad, the team that loses in bad from bad is usually the really, really bad team. And it was just like we just couldn't get out of our own way. They kept giving us opportunities. We couldn't capitalize on them. I don't like what I'm seeing. And to me, that just means the offense, in my opinion, too pedestrian. We've heard too many other teams in the NFL say that they can see what Chip Kelly's running because he's not innovative. His offense was innovative, but now he still sees what he likes to run as innovative. It isn't anymore. And so his formations are predictable. They can see what he's running. And we got to get him out of there. We got to get someone in there. I'm in agreement with one of my last viewers that said we need to, go young, get a new young coach. I kind of agree with that. Now, a young coach coming out of college doesn't guarantee winning. Okay, young coaches don't guarantee innovation. You know what I mean? Because they're young and exciting. That's not a guarantee. So we have to be careful what we wish for, because we could end up with a young coach that isn't any good. And in the meantime, we let him run out his contract with us and we're bad for another 3 or 4 years because we're trying to figure out if he really is bad or is it the administration around him. And if it is, they just ignore it and move on, bring in another administration and say, oh, no, it's not us up here at the top. It's this coaching staff and everyone around him and the players. And sometimes it's just not. I don't know why anybody would be talking about this. They say Tom Brady had to spend $220 million for a combined 10% stake into the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't know why anyone's talking about that. It may be because they're trying to prepare people for the fact that he's going to try to make Mark walk away. I really do believe he's going to make a move on Mark if he hasn't already. Not a hostile takeover. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not implying that like Mark would have no control and he's trying to crush Mark. That's not what I'm saying. Because if that were true, I would say it quickly because it would give me an opportunity to trash him. I wonder if being under new ownership would spark that commitment to excellence. Just not sure now that Mr. Davis passing. Does it make Mark think about cutting ties or more likely to keep the team? To me, it makes me think he's more likely to cut ties. Dad's gone, mom's gone. He can just take the money now and go be his own man. It makes way more sense to me to do that. I realize there's this argument of keep it in the family, but I don't know that he's going to have kids. I don't think he's ever going to have kids. He's up there already. Usually guys his age don't have kids. And then even if he did, is that kid going to want to be pigeonholed into you're going to be a football owner? You know what I mean? So it looks like it might be done for the Davis family. If I'm Mark Davis, I would have sold already. Now, obviously he couldn't because his mom was, I forget the exact title, but the main shareholder in charge, whatever. But so because of that, there wasn't a lot he could do. But the moment she passed away, to me, I'm making phone calls. You know what I mean? Not out of disrespect to my parents. I know I'm Mark Davis. I've had the team for over a decade. I've been in charge of everything for over a decade, and I've done nothing. He's done nothing. He's done nothing. You know what I mean? Except re-sign Carr over and over again. Fernando Mendoza, 6'5", and played for Cal Berkeley and transferred to Indiana. Yeah, honestly, I like Fernando. I'm actually a Cal Bear fan. That's why I'm, kind of on board with that. But so, obviously I'm biased. I'm a Cal Bear fan. But at the same time, I would like to see him get an opportunity with us at least built. You know what I mean? I don't feel like that right now. He would be coming in without wide receivers, at least not any with any real experience. And the one that has real experience is too old. You don't really have a leader in the field to catch the ball for you. You got to pray that Thornton comes out of his rookie woes and has a hell of a sophomore season if we pick him up. Him and Jack Besh. Tanameku said, what are your thoughts on Dable? I think Dable is a victim of the same thing that Pete Carroll is. He's not completely in control of his entire staff. And more importantly, his general manager and his picks and what he may have wanted to do in free agency and so on. I just think he's one of those guys that he was hired to be a chef, but everyone around him is bringing in all the groceries and the ingredients and then saying, make this taste delicious. To me, that's hard. There are coaches that do it, but it's that much harder. Now, the alternative, though, is letting the coach make all those decisions. Then if he loses, then what? See, that's why Jerry Jones is so hands-on, because Jerry Jones has had a lot of coaches. He's only really had one winner in Jimmy Johnson. The guys who won before Jimmy and after were kind of products of a roster. You know what I mean? Yeah, I saw that photo too, Rhino. You guys look great. Arthur Munoz, what's up, man? Welcome to the show. Appreciate you. Congratulations on your Dodgers. It's not a dynasty yet, though. It's not a dynasty. You guys had too many advantages with the money. You got to win some more. See, it's okay if you build a super team. I don't have a problem with that. Going in and getting Shohei and all that stuff, all that pitching. I don't have any problem with that. If you got the cheddar, okay, I don't feel like a team like mine, the Oakland Athletics, has a right to go, we're poor down here, though. We can't compete with these damnable Dodgers and all their damnable money up there. We're broke down here in little Oakland. You know what I mean? I don't care. You know what I mean? That's part of the sport. You know what I mean? There's money and, it gets spent and, people win. But they got to win a couple more. As a result of that, they got to win a couple more. Well, I don't know if we're going to have a choice with Patrick Graham, John, because if we let him go one way or the other, or if we don't, if we keep him, I think he may go anyway, because I hear he wants to reunite with the Giants, potentially become their head coach after they fire Dable, if they haven't fired Dable already. They may have. I'm not caught up on that. It would be like a Cam Ward in Tennessee situation. Yeah, and honestly, I don't like what's happening to Cam Ward. You know what I mean? I mean, we can all say it's entertaining. We like keeping up with what's going on him with his bad team, but I don't like it. I don't like it. I would have much rather if the NFL really wants to help bad teams to get better and compete right away, just give them more picks. Just give them more picks. I just don't understand why they don't get more picks. And then more importantly, allow the rounds to go even further. Instead of 7 rounds, go to 10 rounds. We've got enough kids coming out of school to do it. Why not? Make these scouts work. And by the way, it would become an NFL spectacle. You'd be able to add 2 more days to the draft. The fans would be able to fly out and stay for an extra 2 days. You could still do all the TV, pomp and circumstance, and everyone's still going to love it. You know what I mean? That would absolutely be cool. But they won't do it. They will eventually. They'll almost have to, because the NFL is going to keep growing. Need stability, but need to cut ties with Pete, because I don't see him coaching in 4 years, and we need a coach who can be with us for at least 3 to 4 years. Yeah, because Pete was supposed to be a right now, solve things, steady the ship, because we felt like we had decent personnel to win right now. And personally, I did too. I thought we had decent enough personnel with a boost from college, with some decent picking, like we did with Genty. We could do some things, and we just haven't done it. There's my guy. What's up, man? Michael Guerrero. What's up, brother? Bear 2028. I'll take the job. Mendoza or Beck are not it. They're like Steve Walsh 2.0. Who's your alternative guy, though, then, Lucky? Change now, predictable for the Raiders. Brady is up to something. What do you think, Bear? Pete, I could very well see Tom sabotaging things to frustrate Mark further to get him to want to sell. Because remember, he's fallen in love with the WNBA. He loves the WNBA. He's done nothing but win since he bought the team in that league. He started putting money into the WNBA Aces, and they immediately won a ring, and then another, and then another. I think they have 4 now, 3 or 4 now. And he has what is arguably the best player in the league on his team, winning multiple MVPs. So in football, he's trash. But in basketball, he's like a god, because he just went right in and just went win, win, ring, 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 ring. You know what I mean? MVP of the league. You know what I mean? So he's I mean, like literally killing it at women's basketball. So if it's me and I'm already super rich, I'd let the NFL thing go, and I would just be a WNBA guy and root the Raiders on from a distance. Go to games sometimes, get a booth, and still sit out there and let the fans see you as Mark Davis, the fan now, as a let's say still a shareholder, just not now he's the minority owner. You know what I mean? And keep the spirit of the Davis family there. I think that would be cool. I'm actually an Atlanta Braves fan, but I was rooting for the Dodgers for my daddy and uncles who are in heaven. Ah, that's nice, Corinna. Steven and Mrs. Shaw. Two times. Appreciate you, brother. Always there for R8RBEAR and Mrs. Shaw. Oh, so they already pulled the trigger on Daboll? Okay. See, I knew they were talking about it. I mean, it was kind of writing on the wall, but yeah. Rod Stiffington, what's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Raiders! On my birthday a few years back, the Raiders Knights of the Shield took me out for a birthday party. It was really cool. Raider fans everywhere. And the president of the booster club kept looking at me and going, Bear, hey, Bear. He'd had a few, you know what I mean? Like all of us. The bar we were at had these pitchers that they would bring them out, but it wasn't your normal pitcher like where you grab the pitcher and pour from it. It was a gigantic pitcher that had spigots going all the way around it like a hookah, so that anyone at any time from any side of the table could just go boom with their spigot, and it was incredible. It was really cool. And we went through 2 or 3 of those bad boys. So there was a lot of loose lips in that club that night. We had a lot of fun. All right, so getting back to it, I think I've kind of caught up with the questions there. Yeah, Jesse, I really did. The show enough is awesome. I love the one with the bike. I wore it the same day. Rod, I don't really know about the tax. I just know that it's not going to impede him from selling the team. If he wanted to move the team, he'd be able to do it. I don't care what the tax. If he was going to take like a hit for selling his shares, within a certain amount of time, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? I doubt it's enough of a financial hit for him to care with the amount of money he'll actually make on the sale. I don't want the Raiders to leave the Davis family, just the old school in me. I don't want to see the Raiders changing their history. You can't really think like that. You know what I mean? It is old school. We all love old school, but I was born in Oakland. I have family in Oakland to this day. I love Oakland, California. I've gone there many times with friends and family and fed the homeless and partied. I've had great highs and, great lows from Oakland. But I know that change is going to come. It's an old, beautiful song. I just got done listening to it just before showtime. But change comes, and you've got to be on board with it, because there is no stopping change. It just is what it is. You know what I mean? If you've ever been a fan of Michael Jordan and you saw the run he had, you never wanted it to stop, and you never thought basketball would be any good after he was gone. And then you got Shaq and Kobe and Iverson and LeBron and Curry and all these guys, and they kind of carried the league and still made it fun. And so I think we'll be fine. I think as far as the family, the ownership, the stadiums, where they play, all that stuff, that's all stuff you just gotta grow and move on with the team. That's why I tell people all the time, I never understand a Raider fan when they say, I've had enough, I can't take it anymore. And I'm like, take what? Nothing's happening to you. You're a fan. Be excited when they win and sad when they lost, when they lose, and that's it. Move on. There is no quit. There is no give up. See this? It doesn't wash off. Okay? I'm a fan forever. Forever. I don't care how long they lose. So stop hitting me with, oh, it's been this long since we won. I don't care. When we win, I'll celebrate like it was yesterday, the last time they won, because that's how it'll feel. Because I love my boys, love the squad, love this team, love what it represents. All right, let's see. I think we can get famous Jameis or Shedeur Sanders on the cheap after this season and not kill our cap to rebuild since Gino's dead money is too big. I like the Shedeur Sanders idea. I'll be honest with you. I don't even mind Jameis Winston because Jameis Winston, to me, is one of those guys that's similar to Gino, where he started out as an idiot, mentally was kind of a midget, got a little bit better, got a little bit more sound, got a little bit more grounded, and then now he's here. And now you've got this different cat now because, see, Jameis Winston to me was trash. And I mean like in both senses, between the ears and on the field. Don't like that guy. But at the same time, I've also seen him grow. And I don't deny that with people, even if it's a person I don't like. If I see that person improving and growing and trying to be better, I'm going to acknowledge that. And see, to me, he's like the Baker Mayfield story. A little too cocky, starts out a little too mouthy, falls all over his face, humbles himself a little bit, gets back to work, remembers he's got talent. You just got to get your mouth out of the way of your football. And Jameis Winston and Baker Mayfield, in my opinion, have done that. And I am really not a Baker Mayfield fan. I do not like that guy. I don't like any guy that gets stopped while he's in college, drunk in public, tries to run for it. A police officer is able to run him down and tackle him into a concrete wall, and that scandal doesn't follow him into the NFL. I'm not okay with that. And everyone says, oh, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Have you ever done it? Have you ever been so drunk that you thought you should run from a cop that then tackled you into the ground? Have you ever done that? Yeah, no, you haven't. And neither have I. Ever. Not once. So, see, to me, it's a sign of his character that he was in that situation, knowing that he was going to go pro, knowing that he was going to be rich. Why would you take a chance of screwing all that up? Change is inevitable, and time waits for no man. Well said, Rod. Yes. Nice. Way to say it. I like that, Richard. I like that. It's in the blood. Let's get Flacco. You know, Rod, I'm sorry, but a small part of you. Be honest. Just a little part of you is like, could we get him? Hey, man, that guy's sturdy, and he's been good for a long, long time. You know what I mean? I have a lot of respect for Joe Flacco. I really do. Linda Bear made the final decision on the shirts. Oh, okay. Well, Mama Bear gets some special love tonight. No, I was going to do it anyway. No, I'm not going to describe. Yeah, Gino kind of is trash, Rod, but at the same time, again, if you look at his story, not bad. He really was in the dumpster. He really was on the edge of being out of the league. Rod, you got to remember, Geno Smith, I'm kind of breaking news here, okay? So everyone, strap in for this one. Geno Smith is black. No. It's not racism. It is racism, but all I mean is that how many backup black quarterbacks do you see? Think about that. See, with black quarterbacks, if they try to become starters, it's kind of like you're a starter or that's it. Now, Jacoby Brissett, who was with the Patriots, the Colts, this, that, he's been all over the place. So he kind of breaks the mold. He is a black quarterback that's been bouncing around in the league as a backup. So it's not that it's never, not any of them, but most of the time when a black quarterback is considered not a starter anymore, they're just cycled out of the league. I.e., why was Kaepernick never given an opportunity to be a backup? Now, part of that's Kaepernick's fault. Every time a team would reach out to him, he'd say, I only want to train for the job if I have a shot at starting. You know what I mean? That's why I always said he never really wanted to be back in the NFL. He knew the moment he said that to any team, they were going to say no, even if there was an opening for the starting position, because the league was only trying to let Kaepernick back in because they wanted to stop making it look like it was uninclusive of him because of his protests and his color. Vernon Moshman said it best. Raider Nation doesn't care who the ownership is as long as we're winning. But if the ownership is why we're losing, Vernon, then we got to start caring. And I think that's what it is. Joe Holman, what's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Handsome Joe Holman. No, I changed nothing, bro. I just haven't been on as much. I had a few days there that I had to get stuff done. Well, Tony, although my guy, Raging Raider Rhino, felt like the firing of our special teams coach was kind of a token thing, something to throw to the fans as a like, hey, sorry, we lost to the Broncos. That was ridiculous. You know, we got to get this guy out of here. And so they kind of scapegoated the special teams coach. I don't agree with that. The special teams have been bad all year. All year, the special teams have affected at least once every game in a negative way. Every single game has been negatively impacted at least once, sometimes more than once, obviously, but at least once every game. To me, that's coaching. You fire the coach. If you can't get through at least one game, even if it's a win, and even in our win against the Patriots, I think we had a special teams gaffe. I think they blocked a field goal or something like that. And you know, that's supposed to happen extremely rarely. And instead it was happening to us, you know, every other week, it seemed like. Let's see, Lucky, what's up? He said, hopefully Brian Flores is still radioactive this next coaching cycle so we can get him in 2027. Lucky, I think he is still radioactive just because he still hasn't gotten a job. And look at how long ago that was. And they did the same thing to that guy. You remember the Italian guy that was coaching for the Jets, and they were calling him a rat because he told on the Patriots because he used to work for the Patriots, so he knew about their cheating tactics. He knew they were doing it, so he reached out to the NFL, ratted on them, and they got caught. That guy got phased out of the NFL by every team, even though he was an incredibly good coach. You know what I mean? And so I think that the same thing is happening with Brian, and if the Raiders give him a job, I'd be surprised. Because even the Raiders didn't break on the Shedeur Sanders thing. The league wanted Shedeur Sanders to fall out of the draft. They didn't want anyone to pick him up, and then Cleveland just blinked. You know, I don't think the Raiders were ever going to pick him up. I don't think any team was supposed to pick him up. They were trying to let him just phase right out of the draft to embarrass him and his daddy. Take it slow, Richard. Yes, 98% of Raider fans ran from a cop. Just kidding. Hey, man, you know our thug reputation. You can make a joke. I ain't tripping. Have I ever got so drunk I ran from a cop and got my ass beat? I'll say is anything before I turn 25 doesn't count. I knew about right. I knew I was right about you, Joe. See, I need someone with a little bit of edge, you know what I'm saying, as my head of security. So, you know, don't worry. In your instance, that's a pump up to the resume for me. SA Big Dog says he has. Okay, SA, I'm not drafting you as a quarterback, though. There's a difference, but I would, bro. What did I miss? What kind of changes are we talking about? Well, it's not that. I think Jackson Powers Davis is done for the year. I don't think he's going to come back. I don't know if it's a part of tanking as much as I think it's a part of protecting the rest of his career long term, protecting his asset value in the instance of a trade in the future, et cetera, et cetera. I'm glad I'm making you laugh, brother. Hey, if I make you laugh, where's the coin? Come on, let's go. Show some stars to the Raider Bear. You think Murray may be in the mix to come to us? I think it's possible. Tyrod Taylor was a good backup. You got me on that one, Ramiro. He was good. I liked him. But you can name what? 5? 3? You know what I mean? Of how many teams for how many years? You know what I mean? Remember Vince Young came in, considered maybe the greatest college football player maybe of all time, comes into the NFL, and I think that was overrated, but it was said, comes into the NFL, stinks, get into strip club problems, doesn't play well, suddenly bye, and he's out of the league, you know? Jamarcus Russell sucked. That's all I'm giving him. He sucked. Running from the police is in Raider fans' DNA. Well, not in this Raider fan, okay, pal? I'm a good boy. Come, Bro Bear, don't jump on the Kaepernick bandwagon. He got benched not once but twice in favor of Blaine Gabbert. If you ask your average fan who Gabbert is, they'll say, whoa. Or who? You mean the guy that looked like he was more about surfing than football? That was when Kaepernick was going through his vegan stage, too. Stephen Shaw showing everyone where the stars are for the Bear. Stephen and Mrs. Shaw. Appreciate the love, brother. It might be that daylight savings thing, bruh. It might be that, Joe. I'm not sure. Josh Johnson, the ultimate backup, damn near 20 years and counting. Okay, I'm not saying you guys can't find someone, but I mean, that's a handful of guys. You know what I mean? That's a handful of guys. You're talking about out of what, 50? You know what I mean? Because you usually have at least 2 behind the starting quarterback on every team. Then all the backups all over the years and the guys that they have on the practice squads. And you, come on. Everybody's trying to give me the business. Good night, Nisi Tweet. Much love, girl. Yeah, George, he got injured with the Bronco game, and then more importantly, they're having trouble figuring out what to do with him. You know what I mean? Because yes, he's capable at other positions, but we had guys there that were capable, so we had to move him just to find a place for him because we couldn't leave him as safety. And we originally brought in Alex Kappa to help him understand how to read and call out the protections, and he still struggled with it. They had JPJ in the preseason and in prior, practice leading up to the season starting. They had Kappa at left guard calling out the protections and pointing and showing JPJ, this is how you do it. See, you do this, you look at that, you do this, you look at that, and you do this. And then you call it out. You set the line, and then you give the quarterback the look, and then we go. And he was just like, he couldn't, you want to hear that again? He just couldn't get it. He couldn't get it. Johnny as well. All right. So the problem is, I think they may just let Pete ride this out. You know what I mean? They may make more adjustments around him. In other words, they may act like Pete Carroll now is a place sitter. So they don't care how this season ends, and they probably don't care how next season goes. Because I could see Tom and Mark planning on hiring a young coach and a young quarterback at the same time and then rebuilding everything around that. And you can't do that with an old coach still from this regime over here and an old coach over there. I think they're going to probably let Patrick Graham go to the Giants for sure. If he hasn't already, I apologize if I'm behind. I haven't been on the news today. But if they let him go or if he goes, either way, I think it's going to happen. So that's another coach out of the way. Then you get rid of Chip Kelly. You've already got rid of the special teams coach. You let Pete Carroll finish. He's gone. And then now you cleared the deck. And you probably don't have Max Crosby anymore. Or at the very minimum, if you do still have him, you're not going to have him in his prime. You're going to have a really good player still, but not the monster that we're enjoying right now in the last few years. You know what I mean? It's a shame. Before Bear hangs up on us, good night, everyone. Thanks to all that served. Semper Fi. Much love to you, girl. Question for you. Did Jamarcus suck, or was he a genius? Draft number 1, got a big bag of cash, guaranteed, barely saw the field, and got cut from the team with no injuries, with that big old bag full of money. That dude burglarized the league, in my opinion. Well, Handsome Joe, and now he's broke. He's all but broke now, and he has nothing. And he was as recently as like 5 years ago trying to get back in the NFL. And it was a farce. It was literally, Joe, I swear to you, it would be like if you and I went to camp tomorrow morning. You know what I'm saying? We would be winded in 5 minutes. That's how Jamarcus looked. He was completely unprepared. I was surprised he wasn't smoking a cigarette during his sit-ups. He came that ill prepared. Let's see. Nobody's capable on our O-line right now. Nicholas, I can't. I thought our start with Denver looked pretty good. I thought some of what we saw against Denver was pretty good. I realized we still had breakdowns and mistakes, but not like we had, most of these other games where we took L's. I thought we played fairly well against the Broncos in that regard, the offensive line. But yeah. Yeah, Nicholas, I hate to agree with you, but yeah, I've been kind of saying it for the last like 2-3 years. It was one thing to let him have his rookie season and then the year after that, and you see how great he is, and you hadn't built around him yet. That was fine. I understood that. But once those first 2 seasons went by and you saw what Max was, I don't understand why you didn't just divest everything into making sure that all we really did was pay him. And that's fine. I'm glad that's the most important thing most times with a player. You got to pay him, show him that respect. But once you paid him, build around him. Everyone that's still mad about the Jalen Carter thing, I'm mad about it too. But at the same time, why didn't you get him a defensive end? Just go get a guy, even if it's another experienced veteran. Just go get a guy. Trying to find that guy strictly out of college is just try. Nope. Tyree Wilson? Nope. Arden Key? Nope. You know what I mean? How many guys do you have to try to guess on before you decide, hey, you know what? These college picks, it's kind of a crapshoot. They can be great in college, look great in college, be everything that looks like you need, and they're not good enough. I want professionals. When Trey Hendrickson was available, you give everything. Everything. I would have given them anything to get him paired with Max Crosby. If you had done that, we would be talking about football games we're winning right now, even with all the mistakes, because our defense would be shutting more teams down. I guarantee you the Colts wouldn't have put 40 on us. I guarantee you that. We have got to shore up his side. We've got to shore up Max's opposite side. Well, I know when people hear the word rebuild, they get upset because they think that rebuild means, oh, you're admitting this team sucks, we have no chance, and now we have to scrap it all and start over. I feel like you're doing that every year anyway. You have some pieces that come back, but for me, for the most part, you're doing that every year anyway. You're always rebuilding. Even if you win, what do we see teams do? They try to get better. They make moves to get better on their line or in their secondary or at their wide receiver position or whatever it is they may need. And I just think that, yeah, we're still in that rebuild until you start winning. Rebuilds don't stop until you're winning. When you start winning, you're no longer rebuilding. But until you're winning, you're rebuilding. Look at that. Look at the Arizona Cardinals. They've gone through all of these like phases where they've literally said out loud, we're back. We've got this college coach. Oh, and we're going to bring in this curly-haired little Mighty Mouse. And, oh, that college coach is so sexy with his Ray-Bans on. and he's going to bring the Cardinals back. And, and he didn't. You know what I mean? And Pete Carroll has it with us. And I just think that Pete Carroll was asked to cook and he wasn't allowed to go shopping. And if you're not going to let the guy go shopping, you can't hold him responsible for how the food comes out. And that's effectively what's happening. All right, guys, that's my show. Much love. Shout out to our armed forces, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, National Guard, Space Force, for all you do on this Veterans Day. The energy and love of this show is dedicated to your sacrifice every day, every show, every night for 10 years now. How about that? R8RBEAR! God bless you, Dad, and thank you for your service. All right, I love you guys. What is tomorrow? Wednesday? I will see you guys tomorrow. Wednesday, R8RBEAR, 8 o'clock. Don't miss me. I love you guys. Hey!